What up though, everybody? Happy Sunday. Hope y'all enjoying y'all weekend. Today's video is going to be all about the Boston Celtics and why they can't seem to get over the hump, even though everybody says they've been a contender for so many years. Let me get my intro real quick and we're going to jump right into it. All right, so I'm not going to make this video super long. I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet and straight to the point. Basically, what we're going to look at is, with past 5 seasons for the Celtics, we're going to look at some records, look at the playoff results. We're going to look at some of the key players on the Celtics, some coaching, some management, things like that, and just maybe try to figure out why can't Boston seem to win a championship. For starters, we're going to look at the past 5 playoff results for the Celtics, starting with the 2017-2018 season, where they lost to the Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference Finals. 2018-2019, they lost to the Bucks in the semifinals. 2019-2020, the bubble year, they lost to the Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals. 2020-2021, they lost to the Nets in the first round. And then last year in the NBA Finals, they lost to the Golden State Warriors. Now, I definitely feel like 3 of those seasons I just talked about were perfect opportunities for the Celtics to win the title. And those 3 seasons were the 2017-2018 season, the 2019-2020 season, and then last year when they lost to the Golden State Warriors. I feel like those 3 years, the Celtics were at their best. They had the better team on paper against all those teams I just told you that they lost to. But I feel like for the Celtics, over the past few years, it's been tough for them to see adjustments and actually adapt to them. Now, the Celtics are still maybe a fairly young team with a few vets. So I feel like for them, they still have a lot of time left to win a championship. But one thing I want to talk about real quick is the possibility of a Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown breakup. That does not need to happen. I just feel like for the Celtics, they need to keep those two together. Jayson Tatum is a superstar. Jaylen Brown is a perennial all-star, borderline superstar. You don't break that up. Maybe you find other adjustments here and there, but that right there, that duo, you don't break that up. It's a successful duo. They know how to play the game of basketball, and they always lead the Celtics to having a top record in the East over the past few years, outside of maybe the 2018-2019 season where they lost in the first round. No, excuse me, the 2020-21 season where they lost in the first round. That might be maybe the only season to where the Celtics might not have had a best record in the East, because I believe they finished 7th that particular season. So I definitely feel like one of the main things that doesn't need to happen for the Celtics is the breakup of Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. You just don't break up a tandem like that. Now I want to talk about the coaching situation over in Boston. Now, over the past few seasons, it's been Brad Stevens running the show. Now he's in the front office running the basketball operations, and I feel like he's doing a pretty good job building the team. But right now, the Celtics head coach just came off of a rookie season. He led the team to the Eastern Conference Finals, led them to a Game 7 in that particular series. So I feel like for the Celtics coach, Joe Mazzulla, I feel like for him, he needs to be given just an opportunity to show what he can do. I feel like this past season, with what the Celtics were dealing with the Ime Udoka situation and everything having to do with that, I feel like it was still maybe a pretty rough season for them on a mental scale, but I feel like they were able to overcome it, and getting to the Eastern Conference Finals is a good thing for the Celtics, especially with the rookie head coach. I do like Joe Mazzulla. I feel like for him, over the next few seasons or so, he's going to have to learn how to adjust to the NBA and adjust to different matchups and different schemes and things like that. But I definitely don't feel like the Celtics need to make a coaching change or a front office change or anything like that. Just keep building around Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown and keep letting this thing mesh and see what they can do. One of the particular positions on the court that I feel like the Celtics maybe need to look at is the center position. Now, I like Robert Williams. I love the way he rebounds the ball. He's one of the best rebounders in the game. But on the other side of Robert Williams, you have Al Horford, who's pushing 40 years old almost. And I feel like for the Celtics, that can be an issue for them because the Eastern Conference have some pretty good big men. You got Joel Embiid, you got Bam Adebayo, you even got Giannis. I consider Giannis a big man the way he plays. So with those 3 guys in the East, I feel like the Celtics have to figure out something with the center position. Maybe get a center who can score the ball a little more. Maybe get a center who's more of a defensive-minded kind of person. Now, Robert Williams is a defensive juggernaut. Like, he plays great defense. But I feel like for the Celtics, they need a scoring big man. You need a scoring big man in the East. Really, in today's NBA, you need a scoring big man. You can't just depend on Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown to pick up the slack 24/7 and nobody else can take control of the game. I feel like they need somebody who can come in and give Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum a rest and be able to lead the team in the right direction when those guys are sitting down. Another thing that the Celtics should do, keep Malcolm Brogdon. Keep him, because he's a sixth man of the year. He just won it this past year. Sixth man of the year. He's a good point guard. Doesn't really score the ball that great. He can be kind of inconsistent sometimes. But I feel like for the point guard position with the Celtics, Marcus Smart starting, Malcolm Brogdon coming in off the bench, I feel like it works for them because Malcolm Brogdon plays pretty good defense. He can score the ball a little bit too. But I feel like Marcus Smart at that point guard position really sets the tone defensively for the Celtics. Marcus Smart just won Defensive Player of the Year last season. So I feel like they have to keep Marcus Smart and Malcolm Brogdon. I feel like that's a pretty good point guard tandem to have. If you want to go out and maybe get another point guard or maybe trade Marcus Smart for somebody, if you're going to do that, trade Marcus Smart for a scoring point guard that can also facilitate as well. I feel like, but keep Malcolm Brogdon, but keep him. I feel like keeping Malcolm Brogdon helps the Celtics in the long run, most definitely. We're going to kind of reverse back to my point about breaking up Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown and why it does need to happen. Because I've been seeing a rumor lately that Jaylen Brown might be traded after his performance in the playoffs. Jaylen Brown didn't play his best in the playoffs. He did what he could, but he didn't play his best. And I've been seeing rumors about Jaylen Brown possibly being traded, maybe to the Blazers or, a team like that. That does not need to happen. I don't feel like Jaylen Brown would maybe have the same success that he would have in Boston. And the reason that is because of Jayson Tatum. When you have another player next to you who can go out and score 25, 30 a night, it helps him take the slack off of his back and be able to just depend on Jayson Tatum, depend on your number two. You know what I'm saying? Depend on your sidekick. So I feel like for the Celtics, don't trade Jaylen Brown. Do not trade Jaylen Brown. Don't trade Jaylen Brown. I had to say it 3 times just so they could understand. Don't trade him. Do not trade him. Jaylen Brown is a great player. He can score the ball at will. He plays pretty good defense. He can shoot for you. He's got size. He can guard multiple positions. I just don't feel like Jaylen Brown leaving Boston is something that needs to happen, because I feel like for Boston, if they lose Jaylen Brown, it might become somewhat of a rebuild. Not a complete lottery team type of thing, but I feel like if they were to trade Jaylen Brown, depending on who they get back, they might be in that middle pack in the East just off that move, just off of what Jaylen Brown brings to that team. One more point I want to make before I conclude and close out this video is that I feel like the Celtics should just improve their bench overall. One main person that I feel like they can maybe trade or, maybe waive and sign somebody else, Grant Williams. This is not a knock on Grant Williams in any way, shape, or form. I do like the way he plays. He's a good player. He's in the NBA for a reason. But I just don't feel like he fits the Celtics in the long run. I feel like for him, he has to go somewhere else to get other opportunities. I looked at his playoff numbers. They weren't the best. I feel like that might have been somewhat of the downfall for the Celtics. And with that being said, I feel like they should maybe bring in somebody that can come off the bench and score, come off the bench maybe and play defense. Somebody that they can depend on when they're not using Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I feel like that's one of the main things that is in place when you have a championship team. And I feel like the Celtics can definitely improve their bench. And that's all I got for y'all today. Like I said, as long as the Celtics don't break up Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, don't trade Jaylen Brown, keep the coach, keep the front office, keep Malcolm Brogdon, keep Marcus Smart, adjust the bench a little bit, and maybe the Celtics might be hosting a title in the next year or two. We'll see. But as always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. I'm out of here. Be on the lookout for more content dropping this week. I hope y'all have a good one.